Hi, Ahmad.
Hey Deidre, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm super excited about this conversation today. Every day I have a big smile on my face when I get to share what you're doing with my clients. It's exciting.
Thank you so much. We're really excited.
Yeah, our partnership is coming at a time where we've got to be looking at a 360-degree view of all the different types of things that we can do to reduce burnout. And certainly what you're doing moves the needle on the tech side, which I haven't seen that needle get moved on the tech side and I don't know how long, which has got me super fired up, as CyberSN and personally myself out there working with organizations on workforce management. The number one thing that I saw that I just wasn't anticipating was how much people are in vulnerability hell. Is what I call it. And I know when I met you at B-Sides SF and you told me what you were doing, I was like, what? We got to talk. And then here we are. I know you really like the term vulnerability hell, and meaning, you believe that's the case too. And so here we are bringing the great work you're doing with AI to solving vulnerability management challenges for security professionals and the dev side of things. So do me a favor and tell us all what vulnerability hell looks like for a few minutes, and then let's spend a little time on the solution, and then that's it. That's
Sounds good.
enough. That people will get it that fast.
Sounds good. So look, we're really excited to partner with CyberSN. I think the mission that you folks are after in helping, a lot of security teams with the fatigue that they're experiencing, and especially with the quality of their work and the quality of work for them is really important. And something we, subscribe at Corgea because I think we're solving the same problem from two different sides. Where's everyone spending their day on? They're spending it, unfortunately, on lower level tasks that are taking up a lot of their time, and this is what vulnerability hell is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of AppSec teams today want to stand up their AppSec program, and what do they get started with? A SAS scanner. And SAS scanners are great. They've been around for, 2 decades now. Everyone buys one of their first tool purchases as a SAS scanner, and they're effective. They help you uncover vulnerabilities. They're making you more secure. But the problem is, unfortunately, is they lead to a lot of backlog, a lot of alerts, a lot of false positives. And so we see this really contributing to this fatigue. And so, like, let's take this example. A SAS scanner finds a vulnerability that gets sent over to the engineer. And the engineer's like, I don't think this is valid. And they start this debate with the security team of what we call the cyclone of debate. And what the cyclone of debate does is it really starts to put people in conversations around things that just take up their time. We've heard from a lot of teams, I spend half an hour, 45 minutes debating with my security team if this is a valid finding or not. And that's exhausting,
It,
right?
it's now to the point where it's creating what we call professional efficacy, meaning people are quitting. The number one reason they quit their job is they do not feel as if they are able to make a difference, that the work that they're doing matters, meaning they never get on top of this. It's crushing and it's mind-numbing. It's
Yeah,
not.
100%. 100%. I mean, when we speak to some of the Fortune 1000s, they have 5,000, 10,000, 50,000 repositories, tens, if not hundreds of thousands, and some even have millions of vulnerabilities, and they have thousands of developers, right? So this cyclone of debate is real, right? I don't think any security engineer got into their field to go debate, with the engineering team if findings are valid or not. Now, what would happen here? Three outcomes. The issue is valid, or the issue is not valid, right? If the issue is valid, now it's up to the engineer to go fix this. And we heard from a lot of engineers, this also leads to a lot of engineering fatigue. I don't understand what's coming to me to go solve it. I don't really understand the full nuances of the security finding with my framework, with all these things. So now I have to go to ChatGPT, to Google, to Stack Overflow, look at the SAS scanner advice, and I try and fix it. It doesn't disappear, and I end up in the cyclone of fixing. One of two things happens at that point. I go back to the security team, and now we're starting to debate again, going back into the cyclone of debate, or now it gets fixed and finally we can move on with our lives. And when we see this with thousands of developers, and it's exhausting.
Well, it's exhausting for them, and it's exhausting for security, because the one thing we haven't talked about yet is that security professionals team is maybe 1 to 100 in developers in big corporations, certainly even to the tune of no more than 30%, you
I mean,
know?
if you're lucky, it's 1 to 20, 1 to 10 if you're really
If
lucky, but
you're
that's rare.
lucky. I am not seeing that. We've discussed that before, and that's how what we mean is by lucky. But it is absolutely the case that the security teams are so significantly smaller than these teams.
Correct.
That in itself is crushing security professionals.
And just to kind of look at it, like if these security teams are dealing with this kind of work, right? And I'm not saying this is 100% of their day. Let's assume this is a chunky part, even if it's 5, 10, 15% of their day where they're having to deal with this. What is that taking them away from?
Yeah.
More
Yes.
strategic,
Yes.
important things like threat modeling, more like application security design and architecture, working with the engineers on building a security champions program, more strategic things that can move the needle, right?
For
This is taking
sure.
away from some of those things and maybe even potential real threats. And what does this take the engineer away from? Revenue generating work. So
I
both sides of the house are at loss. Sorry, go ahead.
For sure. No, yeah, both sides are at loss. And on the security side, we've got organizations, and the majority of them don't have the time to get processes and metrics in place. And that's what's getting left behind, because
Right.
processes and metrics are deemed, strategy, where that's not fighting fires necessarily. And so it really concerns me. I couldn't believe the last 2 years, it didn't take me long to see it, as I kept seeing it, it really caused major alarm. So when I met you in March, I was like, "What? We gotta talk," because, God, it's so terrible for everybody. So think this is a great explanation, and this is, like you said, this is just from the SAT scanners.
Right. This doesn't count things like infrastructure or IT or endpoint. I mean, we all saw what happened recently with CrowdStrike. That must have kept the security team really busy, right? And at the same time, needing to maintain all these other things. So their world is very complex. Their world is very large. So what can we do about it? Why did we start Corgea to help with some of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so I'll transition into that. So ultimately, what we wanted to do was how can we build an AI-based AppSec engineer that can really help the security team reduce the amount of stuff that they have to take on while empowering engineers to go do security work and let them focus on revenue generating. So we integrate with SaaS scanners, and we built this AI-based context engine that understands your code base. And it automatically triages every single security finding using AI and static code analysis techniques. And if something is a false positive, it'll mark it as such. This step in a lot of organizations is actually missing, and they kind of put it onto the developer to triage. Why? Too
Yeah.
many repos, too many code bases, too many frameworks. Security team doesn't have any time for it. And the unfortunate thing is sometimes the security team doesn't understand those code bases and those repos. So you give
Yeah.
it to the person who best understands it, but unfortunately, the person that best understands it doesn't also understand security in the depth that a security team would. So Corgi is auto triaging. If something's false positive, we explain to you why. And then ultimately, if it is a valid finding, we automatically write the security fix with best practice, according to the language, the framework, the issue itself. And now the security team has the peace of mind that everything's been automatically triaged. Fixes are coming in with the highest level of standard and fix accuracy, but we also protect the code base by letting the engineer approve it. So the engineer is still in the picture. The engineer has the final say. They look at it, they verify it, and they merge it. And guess what? They learn something along the way. And so now we're building this hyper automated process end to end. And what is it solving? Well, now you have less debates because we're auto triaging things for you. So the cyclone of debate starts to die down, freeing up the security person to go do more important work and freeing up the engineer to go do more important work. And now the engineer feels empowered to go actually resolve these issues without having to go back to the security team. I heard countless stories of engineers having to go back to their security teams because they think of them as a center of excellence, right?
Mhm.
So now we're trying to solve this vulnerability health using modern AI and static code analysis techniques so that people can do what they're best at, right?
It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I remember asking you, so how fast can we make a difference here? Yeah, you know me, I'm my sales side always comes out from the perspective of I want people to understand how significant this is and how quickly, meaning get the value fast. How fast do we make
Yeah.
a difference here?
This is so let's talk about immediate and long-term value, right? Corgea can process 1,500 vulnerabilities an hour. To give you perspective, if you hired a full-time engineer to actually go write the code fixes for those, it would take 6 months.
Yeah, it's not
And
even
now AI and static code analysis techniques can take that into an hour, right? And so let's talk about the two differences. Because of false positive detection, we've had prospects that have seen anywhere from like 20 to 40% of their findings just get wiped away. That's
nice.
day zero. Like that's immediate. And then over time, they use Corgea to slowly drill down their vulnerabilities, but at a much faster rate because we're saving them up to 80% of the work. So now, because we've chewed at the problem on the front side, now they can actually go focus on what really matters and actually go remediate them over time. So instead of it taking 3 years to remediate all these findings, they could shave it down potentially to a year or maybe even 6 months if they really want to. And so now they've increased the security posture. And we see this with companies who have done acquisitions that need to bring up the security posture of those large organizations with antiquated code bases. That's kind of the ideal customer that really benefits from a Corgi.
All I can do is smile and say the word rad over and over in my head because in CyberSN we see the results of the everything from depression and anxiety to not liking our jobs to should I get out of security,
Oh, of
uh,
course.
on a regular basis. So when I hear numbers like 20 to 40% immediately, and then long-term numbers like that, I can't do anything other than smile, say rad, and make damn sure that everybody knows that you do this. So that's what we're going to do. And looking forward to seeing you at Black Hat, and anybody that wants to come talk more, we'll be at our Black Hat suite together at Mandalay Bay on Thursday, specifically with Corgia, and looking forward to watching everybody get out of vulnerability hell. Thank you so much, Ahmed.
Hey, thank you, thank you. And I'm really excited to partner with you guys on burnout and how to help the security and engineering teams actually move the needle forward. So
Heck
thank you. I
yeah.
really appreciate it.
Ditto. Ditto.